and that's and I reward myself. I still do. Not but in the beginning, I think you really have to reward yourself. Like, okay, I'm not gonna drink today. So, and then you're feeling flat if you're taking naltrexone all the time. You're not really getting that joyness in life. I don't think. I didn't. I should say talk for
Yeah.
myself. I didn't. I felt pretty flat, and so the days that I didn't drink, it was a reward. I did other things too. I would go for long drives. I would play games. I mean, there was other things. I was trying to get some endorphins, and I hurt my I got a problem with a physical problem with my hand right now, so I can't do some things. But um, just anything to get those endorphins up, and the ice cream, taco time. I mean, those things were the best I could do in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that reward, so I didn't feel like I was missing out. Like, oh, but it was agonizing in the beginning. Like, what the heck am I gonna do? What am I gonna
Yeah.
do? I got to drink and I don't want to drink anymore. Um, and it was just that mind thing. It was learned conditioning,
Yeah.
lost dog, you ring the bell, you drink and get off work, reward. I worked a hard day. I put in, and I'm a good worker. And now it's my time. It's Miller time. It's time for me. Nobody
Yeah.
can tell me I'm drinking. I'm going to Taco Bell. Or
Yeah.
and Taco Bell once in a while, but Taco Time's my favorite. Which
Yeah.
makes me sound like I'm a total junk food, but I'm not. I'm very actually really healthy. But those are my rewards. Is I have to have something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I think honestly, like, I think I've talked about that ad nauseum, because I feel like for me as well, the way I got alcohol-free days on TSM and made progress was through that system of rewards because alcohol was my go-to reward for so long, and I felt like I was missing out if I didn't have something in place. So I would always institute a reward. If I was going to delay my drinking that day or if I was going to go for an alcohol free day, I had to have a reward in place. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. And yeah, same thing. It would be an ice cream or there's a great cheeseburger, milkshake, and fries in town at this place. And on Fridays, that's what I started doing because I'd made a lot of progress on TSM, but I couldn't let go of like a night or a Friday night, like over drinking session. And I was like, I don't want to do this every Friday anymore. So I remember my first time going out and getting that cheeseburger, milkshake, and fries. And I said, if I want to drink after this, I will, but I'm just going to try this first. And that was satisfying. I didn't want to drink after that. And so that became my new reward on Fridays to kind of get those alcohol free days. But I agree. We need that system of rewards. But like you said, it's kind of agonizing. You have to think up these things. What am I going to do? You have to try different things because if ice cream isn't that fun, then you've got to figure out something else. And so it takes that conscious effort. And I think when we've been in that established habit of drinking like we have for years or decades, it's so easy to default back into those familiar, comfortable patterns, even though they're not serving us anymore. It's what's familiar. And, as humans, we all like what's familiar. So that's why I have such compassion and empathy for people that are stuck in those habits because it's not easy to get out of it. It takes thoughtfulness and planning and consistency and intentionality. But in my experience with naltrexone, when we can do it and especially just get going and do it a few times and see ourselves succeed with it, it gets easier and easier.
Absolutely, it's hard to get the ball rolling. One thing I learned a long time ago, or a phrase I should say, I have a lot of cliches. I know a ton, but obviously for reasons why. But is it takes courage to not drink. Anyone can pick up a drink. Um, and it took courage. I know it sounds not like really, it took courage, and no, it did. It took a lot of courage to not pick up the drink and to do opposite action. I did something completely opposite, even though it was very small. But that was winning. That was absolutely winning, doing it differently.
Yeah.
They were small things, nothing big. I never did anything that big.
Yeah, and the tricky thing I found, I read a lot of Brené Brown when I was on TSM, and she talks a lot about this stuff. You've probably read her too. And it's like alcohol, I think, strips away at our courage. So we're kind of starting without like a bank of courage. And it also requires vulnerability. And for us to be vulnerable with something that we've had so much shame and guilt around, like we have to really acknowledge, I think, the emotional state that we're in when we start TSM and the damage that has been done and meet ourselves where we're at. Because I just did a poll recently in our community and asking, do you feel that excessive drinking impacted your self-worth and self-confidence? And I think like 99% of people said yes. And so it's just like recognizing that we're in a lower place when we start the method. And in order to make these changes, you're spot on. We have to be courageous, and it's difficult to start that out if you don't have a bank of courage or like these lived experiences with it. But like you said, you get the ball rolling and it gets easier the more you do it.
It really does. It's just taking that first step, which is the hardest.
Mm.
It was so hard for me. I mean, I literally was just like, what the heck am I gonna do? I was so filled with all this angst of like, how am I gonna survive this? Like it was, it was that. I remember telling my sister that. She's like, really, Bram? What are you going to do? You don't even know what to do. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Here I'm almost 56 years old and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
He's like, but that was the best I could do at that moment. That was the best I could do. And taco time was, the second best thing I could do. And little by slow, oh my gosh, it's part of my story, which is, everyone has one. And it's so cool that we get to share that. That's what this Thrive community and all of us together is, that we can help one another, which is everything. We need humans. I mean, that's the thing is with alcohol. I drink. This is my bar right here. Right here is my bar. I never went out. I didn't go to bars. I didn't do any of that. So, the loneliness. Like I'd just be sitting here if I wasn't talking to you, 4 years ago, sitting here drinking. So we don't want to be alone anymore. We don't need to be alone anymore. We have people, community, the meetings, people. I'm always asking people, please, get involved in the meetings. They make a big difference. Be a part. If you're shy, just leave your camera off. Don't, put listening. You don't have to respond. When it took me months to finally, years ago, it took me months to say hi. I almost sound like AA. Yeah, I'm Brenda. But it took me a long time to just, someone kept asking me if I'd like to talk, and I never said anything. And then one day I was like, I got, I need to talk. I need to be a part of this, because I was too afraid and shame, all my drinking, and just I was so beaten down that I didn't think anyone would even want to hear me. And that is that's where I was so wrong, like that's what alcohol lying, that's what it does to you. It
Yeah.
robs you of your self-worth, and you just feel like there's, and you think, how could it possibly get better when you feel so down? It does, it just keeps getting better. I mean, I cannot tell you, my clarity of thought is just, it's amazing how much I'm like, wow, I had intuitive thought and I figured it out. I just, before things would baffle me, like how in the heck am I can't figure it out. I don't know. I'm upset. I can't, all these things. And now it's just like, wow, this calmness, that I have, that alcohol, it was always revved up a little because I was hungover. I didn't feel, I mean, you walk around half of your life feeling like crap, like you're just almost wanting to die and waiting for the next drink. You're not living in the moment and you're not feeling very good physically, feeling horrible. In the mornings, I would swear I'll never drink. I don't want to drink. I'm not going to drink today. I would throw booze away. I would take it to the rest stop, dump it out. I would give it to the homeless. I did all kinds of things. And then by that night, drinking again, because I felt just well enough to start drinking again. Where in the morning I felt so horrible. I thought that was the last thing on my mind, was drinking. And 9 hours later, I'm back to drinking.
Oh my gosh, yes. Those mornings are so rough, and it almost cuts at our or gets to our shame cycle more because we're out of integrity with these things we're committing to ourselves. And I know that's how I felt. Like every morning I'm like, not going to drink tonight. Like, why do I keep doing this? And then just like you, it's like 4 or 5 o'clock. Well, I can have a couple drinks tonight. And the cycle would just continue. And I was hating that I couldn't follow through. Even just one alcohol-free day was like torture and difficult. And I remember just thinking, does everyone feel this way? Or is this just me? And I would see my husband, like, he would easily go days and days or a week without drinking. And I'm like, how do you do that and make it look so effortless? Now I know it's because he didn't have the alcohol use disorder that I had, but it's, yeah, your mind is so preoccupied, and yeah, it's dreadful to be living in that. And as soon as you get a glimpse out and get that hope of TSM, it's like, oh my gosh, this is possible. Oh my gosh, like, it's really, really encouraging. Even I know one of our members has been posting recently, he's brand new to TSM, but he's seeing that light of like what life can look like when this isn't an issue, and he's still drinking quite a bit, but he can see it and he has that hope, which is like such a beautiful thing. Like, to have hope after being hopeless for so long, it's the best feeling in the world.
It absolutely is, and it's not linear, like,
Yeah.
some people go like, "Mm, it it didn't work that way, it was up and down, and, I think the first year, it's for the first year, is for your body, like, just trying to get the pill in and get, if we want to talk about a time frame, just get the medication in and get used to drinking on it, and then not drinking and reducing and waiting and delaying, and that's where I kind of feel like, for me, it's like this year is for my mind. Like, I'm taking care of my body, and I'm not, craving alcohol anymore. It's just, it takes some people so long, and I don't know if it has anything to do with, all the amounts, how long we've been drinking, how many times we quit, stop, like me, that was a lot of that, quitting, stopping, and quitting, stopping, and then drinking, and
Yeah.
then over and over, that we want it right now because we've been through the trenches, and like, it's time that I get this, and I get it now, and I gotta get cured right away. It just takes so long for your mind, the AUD mind, to rewire itself.
Yeah.
And so I am always asking people, just be patient, it's gonna come. Be patient and always take your medication. That's the one thing I knew in the beginning, that was I would never go without. I was always compliant.
Yeah.
That I think I maybe once or twice forgot I'd taken it or taken 2, 'cause it was kinda like that thing, like, "Oh, I think I took it, I take it every day, so I'm sure I took it, but I don't know if I did." So, I think I had a couple of those, the 2 years that I was really actively drinking, but I heard Bruce loud and clear. My first time I heard him, he said, "Always, always, always, always take your pill." And he said another thing that I try to leave with every single person: it's not your fault. You didn't ask to have AUD. None of us want this. We didn't ask to have it. And the first time I heard him say that, I'm a bit of a ball bag. I started crying because I've been so beat up. My morals were off. I was a bad person. Why couldn't I just quit? And to hear that. So those are two things I always leave with people, and the two things that, um, the always take your medication, and it'll turn out, it'll work.
Yeah.